Hello and good morning, everybody. Fellow peers of our EDU 691 practicum. I want to wish everyone a good Thursday morning. I am doing a different method here, and first of all, I want to thank Daniel for giving me this chance and opportunity to take a different approach. Through Screencastify, I was not able to get the buffering out of my microphone and my laptop, and I tried all the various settings, and audio did not sound good at all. So I'm taking a much different approach. Um, this is going to be made available through YouTube, and supporting documentation will go along with it, including the presentation. First of all, everybody, I'm going to try my very best to get through this presentation. I have been under the weather since the weekend, since last Saturday. And I have a frequent cough that does occur every once in a while. So pardon me if I take a brief pause for a minute, just for the sake of the cough, if it happens to come on. Plenty of Halls, cough drops, and plenty of Mucinex tablets and everything else to try to get through this. But okay, let's get started. So I want to welcome everyone. And as I had mentioned, what I'm going to do is I'm going to name off the number of the slide along with the actual title of the slide to kind of do a substitute since since I'm not doing this via Screencastify. So let's start. Again, my topic is adult learners and the motivation to continue their education. And I just want to start out with slide number 2, which is an introduction to the practicum experience. Tell you a little bit about myself. I did attend the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee from 1992 to 1995, and I studied towards a BA in mass communication. I did not actually finish and complete that degree. I stopped attending the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee back in the latter part of 1995. So this really holds a personal interest to adult learners because this actually kind of tells you a little bit about my journey and what I've actually encountered over the last, I would have to say 12 to maybe 14 years of continuing my education. I did graduate, however. I did go back to school 2006, and I finished in 2010 with a Bachelor of Science in Business Management from the University of Phoenix. I continued my education by attending grad school at the University of Phoenix, and I did complete a Master of Business Administration going back to 2012. I made the decision because I really do believe that the core of our outcomes at the college happens to be centered around servant leadership and serving God. And God is very special to me, as to many of us. So one of the things that I did, I made the decision in the latter part of 2014 to continue school. And I did attend Grand Canyon University. And in 2016, I completed a Master's of Christian Studies with an emphasis in pastoral care. After that, I made the decision a few months later. I was already an adjunct instructor at Bryan and Stratton College to begin to connect some sort of educational degree with my teaching experience that I was building on, because I know that my outcome is that I want to continue to teach further in higher education. So I enrolled in Wisconsin Lutheran College, our college, and entered into the Adult Graduate Studies program. And I am working towards a Master's of Education and Instructional Technology. And back in this past summer, I actually did complete 2 certificates. One to be able to teach adult learners, and the other one to be able to engage and teach online. And those were earned back this summer. So slide number 3, just kind of want to take you through my professional experience as well as aspirations. I have been in the broadcast industry, I would have to say, for about maybe 23, 24 years now. I've worked in areas of radio and television, behind the scenes production, and I've also been in front of the camera as well, too. I've been a radio DJ personality, and I've also been a television talk show host, which was at a public access TV station here in Milwaukee. My current position, though, happens to be, and I've been here for the last 16 years. I am at WISN Channel 12, as you can see my logo here. And I was hired and brought on board as being one of their engineers back in the year of 2001. My teaching experience started back in the year of 2014. After exhaustive search, I was hired by Brighton and Stratton College here within the Wisconsin market to teach within their School of Business. Also, Wisconsin Lutheran College, our college, actually brought me on board once I enrolled into the program, and I am an adjunct instructor within the Adult Graduate Studies program. I am a former entrepreneur. We used to have a family-owned business. Our business was called Whitley's Transport Company Incorporated. We actually specialized in motor vehicle transportation. Excuse me with the cough there. For Title 19 as well as disabled recipients. So the vans with the bubble tops as well as the electronic ramps. That's the kind of business that we used to own and operate. And that business was open from 1988 up into the year of 2000. What I endeavored to do with my aspirations is I want to venture out, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, and I would like to teach adult learners in different settings, not just online, but as well as face-to-face within the classroom. And then also maybe one day eventually, excuse the cough again, I'll return back to being an entrepreneur. Moving on to slide number 4. So the title of my practicum topic, again, adult learners and the motivation to return back to school and continue the learning process. Again, I hold a personal investment and interest in this. Again, I'm an adult learner myself. I started back in the year of 2006, returned back to school after an 11-year hiatus of being out of college, and I started working towards my undergraduate in business management at University of Phoenix. So the major outcomes, I'm just going to break down this presentation briefly. We're still on slide number 4, is I want to be able to talk about the theoretical and expectancy theories, and how is that centered around adult learners? How is that their motivation? We have to look at the theories, and we have to look at the theoretical as well as the expectancy to really get a thorough understanding of what compels, of what motivates people to return back to school in higher ed. Also, I'm going to talk about personal relevance and feedback, my one-on-one encounters, myself being a teacher, as well as me engaging in interviewing students, and then also other colleagues and faculty that I was able to conduct an interview with. We'll look at the instructor feedback, as I just mentioned, on techniques. Some of my fellow colleagues kind of gave some techniques that they actually use in the classroom to motivate adult learners. Like I said, excuse me, this is a random cough. This is going to be going on throughout the presentation. I do apologize. The outcomes, though, are going to serve and assist with the ongoing process of teaching adult learners through certifications that are already earned within adult learning as well as online teaching. So the main components, I just want to kind of break down the hours of my practicum, and what I just dedicated hours towards. So 40 hours was actually committed towards the research as well as the theoretical, the expectancy theories. A lot of scholarly research was done. That was 40 hours. 20 hours was the actual hands-on practicum application with adult learner students. 10 hours was really spent on the reflection from adult learners on actual motivators. That was the actual interviews, the one-on-ones that was conducted. And then 20 hours was really a combination of both. I would have to say myself, as well as feedback from actual colleagues and faculties on techniques that were used to motivate adult learners and institutional outcomes. So I just kind of want to break down slide number 6, the research of theory and expectancy. So just want to kind of break down the theoretical expectancy. So framework was customized to adult learners' decisions to participate in formally organized education. Some research that I actually found out and discovered through scholarly articles. There were outcomes that the adult learners were looking to achieve through the actual process, and they were connected environmentally and also within social settings. So environmental, really, the one thing that I encountered was that there was a combination of economics as well as social factors that really led and compelled individuals to actually return back to school. All right, so there was an expectancy. And this is actually a study to actually bring up how this became theoretical. Also, I kind of want to bring up with the theoretical expectancy, there was Ill's expectancy, and he connected that to value theory. And that theory was used to explain choices within educational contexts. And the theory brings forth an empirical investigation of adult learners in areas of education, meaning observation and also experience that was weighed heavily within the process. So the value theory really connected to outcomes of each individual within this study and what was their motivation and what compelled them to return back to school. Some said family, some said economic increase, some said a better placement within their career, and some even mentioned a change within their careers as well to be able to branch out and do something new. So continuing on to slide 7 of research of expectancy and theory. So here's what I found in my research is that there is a connection with the psychology, the thinking process in so many words, in terms of how adults think, that they can be connected to the framework on expectancy theory. We cannot negate the fact that the theory of andragogy, it needs to be definitely referenced within this expectancy theory of how adults think and learn when being engaged within a certain activity. Also, the process of emphasizing the context, being a participant, and the reward in this case, which would be the degree or the certificate, that would be the outcome obtained in definitive to initiating a process, and also making sure that there's a completion of the process. There's also the ability to be able to initiate and complete a process when it comes, when one reaches actually maturity within their thought process. So the conjunction of this process can be directly related to adult learners and also the psychology of their thinking. Moving on with research and expectancy theory, I had to tie in technological advancements. I think that's very important. This is some of the things that maybe some adult learners would tend to struggle with, how our technology is progressing. And it may be used as a lack of a motivator instead of a motivator. So I just want to kind of talk about technological advancements in digital tools. They have broadened the format of post-secondary instruction, and digital learning environments have grown significantly in popularity among adult learners. Now, although digital learning environments have increased accessibility of educational opportunities, they also require different instructional design methods rather than the traditional face-to-face within our learning environment, in so many words. So in order to facilitate learning among adults, adult educators have been encouraged to utilize a learner-focused andragogical model of teaching. Okay, so the andragogical model consists of this: self-directedness, motivation, and also a rich knowledge base that adults can bring to their learning environments. So, in so many words, an andragogical model of teaching also incorporates relevant learning experiences and also problem solving performance tasks throughout the instructional design. So, in so many words, if you can get the adult learner to engage and make a personal connection where it reflects on their career, where it reflects on real life applications, you'll see more of an advancement and you'll see more of a grasp of the key concepts being comprehended within the classroom. So moving on here, this is some of the struggles. This is actually slide number 9 that adult learners actually experience and encountered when using technology. And in the area of blogs and using wikis and Microsoft Messages or Microblog Messages, as well as collaborative digital literacy and paired feedback, a study was done. And those studies actually produced an indicator that much progress needed to be made in those areas of motivating adult learners to return back to higher institutions. So efficient training in so many words, in the area of technology, getting familiar with different apps that are used within the learning process, and especially within the classroom, through sound and proficient instruction, those things could actually be used to help motivators, in the decision-making process of returning back into the classroom. So I kind of want to break down my actual hands-on practicum with adult learners. This is my teaching experience, and this is what I've proven. This is what's been proven to be effective among students within the last 4 years since I've been providing facilitation, especially over at Bryant and Stratton College. One of the things, several of the things here that I'm going to mention that were deemed to be motivators. One is case studies. And I want to use my business law and ethics class that I happen to teach as an example. The case studies were based and centered around self-reflection and also gave the ability to relate the material to the actual work-related scenarios. I was able to get a lot of feedback and constant participation once I applied these case studies as a part of a classroom assessment and as a part of our lesson plan. We would meet face-to-face within the classroom. Another example I would like to use is role-playing. Shark Tank. I know everybody's familiar with that show. What I would do, and this is a sales course that I happen to teach at Bryant and Stratton, I would do a Shark Tank simulation. Now, in that simulation, the learners would be able to elaborate, and they would be able to take their own style with making a sales pitch and promoting their idea for a product and a service. So the way that it would be set up is that I would actually have a group of students be the ones who were the salespeople or the inventors, and then another group of students, I would probably maybe divide them up depending on the size of the class. It may be 3 students being the investors and 3 students maybe being the salespeople or the inventors. And what they would do is they would pitch their idea to try to seal or create some sort of partnership with the investors. But we all know how Shark Tank goes. Also, one other thing I want to mention that I've used for hands-on practicum experience is the research for what we would call a promotion project. And this is a marketing class that I happen to teach over at Bryant and Stratton. Now, the promotion project was actually centered around children. And, a campaign and slogan to bring awareness for heart disease. And so students within the class had to create a campaign and a slogan. And they had to take a methodical approach on how they were going to promote this campaign and slogan. Well, in that, I noticed that learners were able to take the lead on the research and also give compelling information and brand identification, which is very important in marketing to the product that they were actually looking to promote. And it was actually a campaign and an awareness within that promotion project, and not so much of a product. Also, actual hands-on practicum, and these are things that I still do, is I do bring in guest speakers that actually specialize and work in an area of interest that's related to our course context and material. After the guest speakers would speak to the classroom, I would hold and conduct question and answer sessions, and that also brought forth a motivator out of learners, and it helped to further the classroom discussion. Another thing that I've done with hands-on practicum with adult learners is testing quizzes. I've used those as well as visual aids, as well as paper and essays. And I've also, when classes are held in intervals of mini lectures, I mentioned the assessments, followed by another mini lecture, and also a class exercise. So I would kind of break up our lesson plan throughout the course of our time meeting in the classroom to help the learners stay engaged and to help them stay motivated. And then also I would give a break as well, too, within the middle of our class meeting. Moving on here, I just want to kind of go through the interview process with some of my students. And these are really personal testimonies. This is slide number 12 that were actually the outcome. Two of my students in particular, and I actually have them this semester for my business law class, I was able to interview them and sit down and get their history on what motivated them to return back to school. One, and I'm on slide number 12, Kristen Walton. She mentioned that she had dropped out of UW Whitewater. She went to a traditional college and decided that college was not for her. She went back to school in 2006, same year as I did, and attended Bryan and Stratton. She went back for the purpose of getting a management position with the company and also to make more money. She was never satisfied with job placements. She graduated with an associate's in business management from Bryan and Stratton back this year in May of 2018. And she made the decision after that to return back to school, not just for the money, but also to survive. Going back to 2006, that's what led to her decision. She wanted to set an example for the next generation, and she also wanted to set fulfillment as well as networking and experience. Those were her other motivators for returning back to school. Excuse me there. Casey Reams was another student that I interviewed. And her story was that she was motivated by her sister who graduated in 2010 from Bryan and Stratton College. She wanted to be still wants to be a successful businesswoman in the business world. She wants to own her own business. She wants to be an entrepreneur. Also, she motivated her mother to start college from her enrolling in courses. And she wants her entire family to be successful overall in life. That education is really the key to acquiring that success. Those were her motivators. Some additional reflections through scholarly research were some individuals in different fields and their decision, what motivated them to return back to school. This is slide number 14. Alicia being one of them. Early childhood development was her major. She enjoyed studying the brain, and the social skills would help her further career and also help her to further understand kids. Cecil, 33, majored in computer technology and worked on computers as a hobby. What motivated him was that he wanted to eventually do it as a job. Layla, who happened to be 22 years old, majors in psychology. And she said that no one in her family had a degree and that she wanted a career as well as an education. Linda, 46, who majors in healthcare administration. She was out of work for 2 years and she wanted to advance her skills and change careers to get back into the workforce. And Donovan, 21, majoring in business management, wanted to get more stability and more focus and more confidence and determination. So I want to kind of move on to the feedback here from colleagues. Angela Bester happens to be a colleague of mine at Bryant and Stratton College. She is a sociology and career faculty member over at the college, and she serves throughout the Wisconsin market. Some of the things that she mentioned that are a motivator to adult learners is to bring forth an open learning environment, as well as have lesson plans that include role play and scenarios of real life and workplace. And then also within her process, one of her techniques that she uses, another technique, is to connect through critical thinking. And through the critical thinking process, focus on learners' behavior within the classroom as well as within the workplace. Those are some of the teaching techniques that she uses. Moving on to slide 16, she kind of shared a little bit on vocational career theories. And one thing that she talked about was the Krumholtz vocational theory. And those are qualities that are inherited from birth. And it can make you more apt to pursue certain careers, and it can limit you from chasing others. Now, according to Donald Super, she made a quote that the career process is one in which a person is confronted with various stages that they go through and complete before moving on to the next theory. And these are all theorists within vocational theory that I'm mentioning. Also, Irving Goffman, who was another theorist, presented the theory to present oneself, front stage and backstage. So giving a background story, a history, as well as current and present day, and then also in the future. What are the future goals and accomplishments? That was the theory of Irving Goffman. Her forecast, and I mentioned this to her, regarding adult study enrollment within the next 3 to 5 years. It was an intriguing question that actually came up. She feels that adult learners will take more online classes with shorter semesters. She does not believe the job market will increase. Also, adult learners will not be considered to be traditional students because these students will be technically savvy and will start businesses online, and they will not feel formal education is really important. So in so many words, okay, we're kind of moving away from the traditional styles of learning, more into the inclination of online learning and facilitation. She also believes that more satellite colleges as a result will pop up with less face-to-face interaction between teachers and students. So one of the things I want to talk about the experiences, 2 experiences that really impacted me and changed me. One was the phone conference that I had 2 Mondays ago with Jennifer Johnson, who happens to be our program director in the Adult Graduate Studies program here at Wisconsin Lutheran College. Formally starting this research, I was all over the place because I was getting scientific, I was getting into the theories, and I was moving away from my purpose, the motivators. What's motivating? So we're giving more of a personal story, and we're getting personal accounts from individuals on why they made the decision to return back to school. One of the things that Jennifer, through our phone discussion, she helped me to steer back to the motivators, away from the scientific thinking of the theory and the psychology. And also, she gave me assistance coming out of the cloud. We had a lesson, as a matter of fact, a few weeks ago within our participation on the cloud. How do we lead? How do we go from point A to point B? How do we draw our conclusion? And so she kind of helped me stay on track to come out of that cloud and really stay focused on the motivators. Also, my experiences with Casey Reams and Kristen Walton, 2 of my students that I have this semester at Bryant and Stratton College. That also changed me, their interaction. It helped me to value personal goals of continuing education as well as future goals. And that a lot of my students, really are focused as they enroll in school. They want to come to completion, but not only come to completion, but they also have future goals that they would like to accomplish within the next 3 to 5 years and even moving further beyond that. So what I learned about adult learner motivators, I'm just going to say this briefly, is that theory and expectancy does not disclose the full value as personal relevance. Also, the psychology of most adult learners have many similarities and differences. Most adult learners do learn with efficiency when they are allowed to connect the course content with real life and also workplace issues as they encounter them. And international perspectives, believe it or not, I did do some scholarly research, may have limitations on certain adult learners, such as political, economic, as well as environmental climates. If there's more of a government that's less inclined to a democracy in another country, there may be some limitations, that would limit the motivation of adult learners. So again, relationships that were established were really with the students, Casey Reams, Kristen Walton, and also all of my other students that I happen to have class with this semester that I'm facilitating. I feel a closer relationship with them now, getting an understanding of what is motivating them to come to class every week on the campus to meet with me as I teach them business law as well as sales and service principles for the semester. So this is what I came up with. And what I did, I embedded my project, a few slides within this presentation in terms of what I'm endeavoring to do. So out of all of this, I would like to put together an adult learner motivators training session. This is slide number 19. The purpose of this training session, a highlighting of the key points. It would be centered to train faculty at higher degree institutions, techniques on how to be successful in the classroom while facilitating adult learners. Also brainstorming sessions with other instructors and professors. Program directors and academic deans will facilitate the training session, as well as regional training here in the Wisconsin market. All colleges and universities from a 2-year and a 4-year perspective would be welcome to participate. And once the faculty, once they go through the training session, what they will get at the end, it happens to be a certificate of completion that will be issued. Again, there's a lot more details to really put into this. This could be a whole new presentation and project on its own. We have to look at the actual institutions, the actual names. Also, really break down course materials as well as budgets to really launch off this training session. And also venues would be important as well on where this training session would be held and conducted. So slide 20, I just kind of put together like a brief itinerary. Day 1 would be the registration, as well as the introduction of facilitators. Topic 1 would be why do adult learners return back to school? There will also be a breakout session after that among participants. And topic 2 would be the introduction of adult graduate study programs from 2 institutions of learning. So 2 program directors from 2 institutions of learning here within the Wisconsin market would actually introduce their adult graduate study program and how it's set up. That would be the conclusion of day 1. Day 2 would be the next day. And what we would do in day 2, it would be topic 3. We would deal with conflict resolution within the classroom. So how do we actually resolve conflict when an adult learner is not maybe comprehending, or if there may be a lack of communication between the instructor and the student, for example. There will also be breakout sessions among participants, more brainstorming. Instructors will also share techniques on their different teaching styles. And I know there would be a wealth of knowledge to come away with that when different instructors actually share their own teaching styles. And former adult learners who have completed degree programs would be able to share testimonials. And then there will also be closing remarks as well. So some of the challenges reflecting on this whole entire 8 weeks and putting together this project, and this is slide number 21, is really not making enough personal connections. There were more deans and more program directors that I actually wanted to interview in the process. Also, time management, multitasking. My profession here in TV broadcasting behind the scenes, as well as teaching courses at Bryan and Stratton College and getting coursework done within this course. Multitasking, I kind of found myself a little bit behind and not really on schedule with certain things. Also, more time could have been spent in the interview process. There was more participants and students that I wanted to interview one-on-one and face-to-face. The successes of this program, I would have to say, is a scholarly research. There was some valuable information that I happened to come across regarding theoretical expectancy, as well as personal testimonies through scholarly research from students and their motivation on why they actually returned back to school. And then I was able to engage with a fellow faculty member, Angela Bester, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, and she sat down and she gave me some feedback on techniques, theories, as well as her background in vocation, career vocation. So again, continuing reflection, slide 22, what did I learn about myself? I learned that I actually have a lot of similarities with other adult learners. We're all trying to balance out time. And sometimes it's a struggle, but we continue to press forward. Also utilizing time management more efficiently than in past practice. I can do that much better. Adult learning does have a testimony that goes beyond the theories. I have a testimony myself where I'm currently at. This is not so much the scientific and the theoretical. And then being a facilitator of adult learners is truly a call to servant leadership. I think about our servant leadership motto that we have at our college at Wisconsin Lutheran. And this is truly a call. This is not something that we dread doing on a daily basis, but it's something that we should have a zeal and we should have enough charisma to go forth and to pursue it on a day-to-day basis. It is a call to serve our students. It is a call also to understand adult learners, and we happen to have them within a classroom. So some of the goals and outcomes that I want to talk about that are connected, or that I happen to connect this project with through Wisconsin Lutheran College. This is truly it's truly serving others within the workplace, the home, and the community. That's one outcome. Also, analytical skills were applied through collaborative inquiry and research in the process of this. And then managing people through collegial approaches and also foster distributed leadership. That's another thing that I connect with our program goals and outcomes, as well as promoting a learning community that engages in reflective practice as well as action research. So to conclude this, my future plans, all right, and looking at maybe a 2 to 3, hopefully a move goal from 3 to 5 and beyond, is that I would like to utilize these techniques within a blended learning environment. I would also like to obtain a better understanding of my own students, even in this current semester and in the semester that's going to follow this up in January, and in the next semester that's going to follow this up in April. We happen to go into tri-semesters at Bryan and Stratton College. And then even when classes do become available through our adult graduate studies program that we happen to restructure, and when I start teaching courses within our own venue, I would like to understand my students more and connect with them and relate to them more on a personal level. I will also like to eventually be able to transition into online teaching with current institutions and beyond, especially since I've earned the certificates over the summer in online teaching, as well as teaching adult learners. And I eventually would like to facilitate adult learners on a graduate level within a blended environment. That's going to probably be a call for me to pursue my PhD, my doctorate in the preferred area of study. And I would like to be able to do it in both the brick and mortar on campus as well as online as well. And then also the training program that I came up with, which I do have documentation that's going to support this presentation. As I make the initial post, there are some feedback forms that I did create that are centered around the training program. Maybe there's a possibility that once I put more of an administrative hold on this actual program, that I can implement it at a higher degree institution. So that's something that maybe that could occur within the next 3 to 5 years, or maybe it probably take a little bit longer. That is it. I'm hoping that everybody will have a lot of questions to ask. Please be inquisitive. And thank you for being patient with me through the sickness. I'm glad I did not cough, as well as also the technical issue that I was not able to do this on Screencastify. I did not want to be the oddball in this process, but I could not get any devices or any microphones to actually work with the device. Thank you very much, everyone, and you have a great morning. Take care and blessings to you.